Well, actually, I can talk about many technical stuff like rootkits, the new types of the attacks, and how big the impact is on the global economics. But I'd like to talk about the main thing which happened within the last 2-3 years. Actually, the fact that it's no more just cyber criminals. It's no more bad guys or groups or gangs or bad guys which are developing malware and run all these computer-based attacks to earn more money. Now it's not just these people. Now it's an industry, it's organization, and it's not mafia. It's not internet mafia. It's just independent groups of people or individuals which are connected, which are linked with the financial interests.
Are they well organized? Are they as well organized as an average company? I mean, do they run along strictly commercial lines?
Well, actually, there are some of them. They are organized as well as international companies because they behave in different countries at the same time, in the same schedule. And actually, that's really scary because these people, they're getting more and more professional. So they're people the cyber criminals, which are focusing on their own tasks. They're getting more and more professional. And this is a real danger because these guys, the bad guys, they are getting more and more powerful in the internet. That's scary. Well, actually, there are many factors which stimulate cybercrime. First of all, still there are businesses. There are more businesses in internet area, in the internet world. There are more services there, and at the same time, financial crisis.
Yeah.
Which also brings. Well, actually, all the crises they stimulate all types of crime, including cybercrime. So I'm afraid that cybercrime was on the rise, is on the rise, and will be on the rise for the next years. And this is a very, very bad news. Well, actually, what people really need just two things. All humans really need. First, it's oxygen, water, food, entertainment, and security. So actually, there are security, including IT security. I call it element 5. In the number of elements which people really need. Right. And that's why even in times of the economic depression, there are many companies, many people here, and actually it doesn't look like a bad times for the IT security. And at the same time, that means that the governments have to pay more attention to the problem. And actually that happens. Yeah. There are governments on the higher and higher, upper and upper level, they started to understand it better. They started to talk to IT security experts. They started to communicate more on this about these issues because, well, actually, that's easy to see that all we depend on the internet. All the global economics depends on the internet. If there is something wrong happens with the computer networks, we will forget about financial crisis, right? And actually, what the reality is that this network, which we depend on, is not under the control. There are cyber criminals, thousands of them. There are no regulation. You call it freedom. No, it's anarchy. If I were God designing internet from the scratch, from the ground, I would have a regulation there, same as we had in other public networks. There are many public networks: transportation network, financial network, electricity network. So, well, actually, there are many networks which has a regulation. We have someone watching what's going on there. Every user has an ID of different types. Yep. So I think that same must be implemented in the future internet. There have to be the organization which is watching the regulation there. Let's call it the internet government. There must be IDs, internet passports for individuals, accreditations for organizations, Internet Interpol, international organization which coordinate police regional and national police departments around the globe, etc., etc., etc.
Lots of people wandering around, all twittering to each other, I'm sure, about what they're doing.
Yeah.
The issue of social networking as a potential security threat is something that's creeping up the agenda, I think, for a lot of IT security specialists. What do you make of this phenomenon at Sophos?
It's quite interesting. Social networking is offering huge opportunities for business to actually try and communicate in a much more dynamic, quick way. Of course, there's security threats with that because the hackers are catching on that this is a way that they can actually get more attention and spread their malware. So we're here talking at the show about what people can do to try and protect themselves, as well as share information about. We've done some surveying as well to ask administrators what they're concerned about in terms of social networking.
From the IT administrator's point of view, I should imagine people at work using work computers to access Facebook, to access Twitter, to access all the other social networking sites is becoming a real problem.
Absolutely.
Or an issue, perhaps.
No, it is. In fact, when we surveyed about 1,000 administrators, we found that 2/3 were really worried about how much time their users were spending on these social networking sites, and also worried about what was being said, right? So people are using these things and they're saying everything about where they work, their date of birth, information about what they do in their company, and that can be a real threat.
So it's less to do with people actually posting online information about their organisation's activities and what it's actually doing, and possibly sharing too much data that way. It's more to do with the fact that they're posting personal details that hackers and cyber criminals can get hold of to pull them in and to hack into their sites.
Well, it's a number of issues, I think, for the IT administrator. You're worried about productivity, first of all. The company does not want people spending all their time on social networks, social networking sites, and that can be addictive for a lot of users.
But they're building up business contacts, aren't they? This is what people tell me at work. All the people say, oh, it's all right, I'm making valuable business contacts. I'm not just wasting time.
Yeah, but you have to understand as well, there's CEOs that are pretty worried in this time. The economic climate is not as healthy as it was 2 years ago. And you certainly want to be, want your staff, working as well. So having guidelines in place, I think it'd be a mistake for anyone to try and block all these sites completely. It would be like blocking email 20 years ago. This can be a business tool. However, it can be misused. So putting guidelines in place and actually educating your users on how you can actually manage these sites. So maybe giving access at certain times of the day or to certain sites will help your users use it, in a productive way.
But don't we come back to the old problem of internet access policies where everybody agrees they're a good thing, and there should be certain websites that you can visit and certain websites you can't visit from work, and certain things you can do with email and certain things are disallowed.
Yeah.
But nobody wants to take responsibility for enforcing the rules. The IT people don't want to be seen as the police, the IT police in the workplace. I mean, how do you get around this issue of getting people to understand the importance of rules? Because the Web 2.0 generation expect total freedom, don't they?
I think you're making an excellent point. And in fact, one of the things that we're talking about this year is about not being the police, right? The IT guys are there to enable users to actually be more productive in the office. And having this idea of them being the ones that are trying to stop you from doing fun or, cool things is really going to cause a problem within the office. Us and them is not what you want. You want to work with them. So find out what your users want to use the web for, find out how you can make that a productive use for your company, and then figure out a way to safely enable them to do that. It's important that everyone works together. Your users aren't idiots, right? They're only doing things because they don't know. And if you educate them, they'll follow the rules. No one wants to lose their jobs, particularly now.